I believe Methodist Women in Britain, with her commitment to the world church, has the potential of bringing women from different ethnic backgrounds, class, and status to God's table. It is my hope and prayer that with the current strapline, for women, for justice, for Christ, that this will become even more of a reality to the glory of God. Amen.
Methodist Women in Britain, as the British unit of the World Federation of Methodist and Uniting Church Women, has for 10 years shown prayerful and generous support through its empowerment gifts to women of other units of the World Federation. Units like Fiji, Sri Lanka, and Liberia. On behalf of these women, your sisters, I want to say a huge thank you today and wish you every blessing as you celebrate your 10th anniversary. God bless you.
Methodist Women in Britain has given me opportunities to sit around tables with people from this country and across the world and hear each other's stories, but also to sit around in places where there are no tables and hear those stories too.
Birthday greetings from Germany. My name is Rosemarie Wenner and I got connected with Methodist Women in Britain through your former president, Anne Burroughs. She reached out to us and she made it happen that Methodist women in Germany are now connected with Methodist women in Britain, which is great. I'm really grateful for the work you are doing. I was privileged to be with you in Swanwick in 2017, and since then I follow your work more intensively. You are deeply grounded in spirituality. You express the love in Jesus Christ and through Jesus Christ by working for the transformation of the world, working for gender equality and gender justice, working for human rights, for the dignity of all human beings. Thank you for your engagement in local activities and in the global connection. May God bless you as you enter the second decade, and may you be a blessing individually and collectively to this world.
First of all, my thanks to Methodist Women in Britain for graciously asking me to participate in this 10-year anniversary presentation at this year's conference. The all-embracing aims of this organization are to bring women together, encouraging one another to know Christ and to make him known as Methodist Women in Britain and as part of the wider church in the world. Secondly, to encourage, resource, and train women members of the Methodist Church, thus serving to equip them to participate more fully in the wider church and in society. And thirdly, to connect women in Britain with women overseas, working in partnership with others to raise awareness of and act upon issues of social justice around the world. The movement is also the British unit of the World Federation of Methodist and Uniting Church Women, which links to the United Nations. It is therefore a privilege and honor to belong to this noteworthy organization and to have had the opportunity to link up with women at circuit, district, and national levels, as well as international. Women from all walks of life since joining the movement over 4 decades ago. I was the last women's network for the London district and the first Methodist Women in Britain president 10 years ago. It is therefore an equal honour for myself and my team, together with staff at Central Hall, Westminster, led by the Reverend Martin Turner, and our first president, the wonderful Jill Baker, who went on to become a vice president of conference, to have been able to plan and launch Methodist Women in Britain 10 years ago at Westminster Central Hall. Among the many activities I've been proud of and to be engaged in includes being the first forum member to the Government Equality Office and responding to government consultation papers on behalf of Methodist Women in Britain. That includes strengthening women's voices in government. But the icing on the cake has been to be the Methodist Church's representative that has been reputed to be the best athletes family homestay program for the 2012 Olympics that took part here in London. Before I go, I would like to commend members of my profession, doctors and ancillary staff, for all their service during this pandemic. And I'd like to put on record that the gifts that I was able to bring to MWiB was honed in the National Health Service. I would also like to draw conference's attention to the forthcoming statue that will be erected at Whittington Hospital that will commemorate nurses from the Commonwealth who have worked in the National Health Service since 1948, before and since. Accompanying the statue will be the book entitled Nursing the Nation, an anthology which I am pleased to have been involved in. I thank you. And we must thank Dr. Jack Bueller, the leader of the Trust, who have been formidable in making all this happen, and that the Queen has also endorsed both the statue and the book. Thank you.
Methodist Women in Britain enables women of all ages to come together at God's table, in Christian fellowship, share their faith, campaign for justice and celebrate the joy of working together with women all over the world to make Christ known and to serve their local community.
That it is a woman movement that welcomes every Methodist woman in their diversity, to bring them to contribute to the life and ministry of the movement, and also to follow Christ and to learn how to be disciples of Christ in our communities, in our homes, and in every area of influence in our lives, and to empower women to share the love of Christ in acts, love in action. That's what the Methodist Church teaches women to be the follower of Christ, to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ in our homes and in our communities. Also, they train women. They don't just tell them what to do, but they actually tell them and to give them the ministry to go and do after being trained, after learning how to do it from those women and people that have got expertise in their field. So they actually come and teach through workshops, through event days. And I think that is what the Methodist Women in Britain brings to the table, that they are an empowering movement for women, and also that they are intentional in bringing to the table issues of injustice and enabling women to tackle such issues and to make sure their voice is heard within the other voices that advocate for things, especially like violence against women. I remember that every Thursday we wear Thursday in Black, where we stand in solidarity with women around the globe and to fight against any violence of any form against women. So those are things that we bring to the table, of injustice and actually tackling those things. And I remember in one of the forums that I am a chaplain of the Methodist Women in Britain, being actually encouraged to write letters. And actually, I wrote letters to about 6 women MPs to just tell them that we are in our prayers. We are praying for you. We know what you go through within the parliament, but we are praying for you. And also to just share our solidarity as women, and to share issues that women experience together as a movement. I said I represent Methodist Women in Britain at their September forum as a chaplain. And not only that, through the Methodist Women in Britain, I've been able to represent the Methodist Church at the World Day of Prayer Executive Committee, which has taken me to pray with women around the globe to just make sure that issues connecting to women are prayed for, and they make sure that everyone, now we welcome men and women to the World Day of Prayer as well. And I know that from the culture that I come from, every woman movement are the pillar of the church, and I believe that Methodist Women in Britain is the pillar of the Methodist Church in Britain, because they are backed up by women of prayer, and they are backed up by women of diverse communities who brings to the table a rich source of spirituality. Not only that, also that I, as a member, and many other women have been to the World Assembly, where we meet women around the globe who comes with stories of what they are doing and their life that they're experiencing, and which is an amazing organization to be part of. And it's all through the Methodist Women in Britain. So I believe that what the Methodist Women in Britain brings to the table is quite powerful and very influential around the globe. So I'm very proud to be part of the Methodist Women in Britain, and also that they're only just not connecting me to Britain, but around the globe. So thank you, Methodist Women in Britain, for the work that you're doing. God bless. Bye.
The diversity of Methodist women in Britain is a bit like the variety of a menu which might be offered to the banqueters at God's table. There are the starters and appetizers, prayers, studies and reflections, something for everyone to inspire and to stimulate the imagination. And then there are the main and the meatier dishes which challenge and equip us to engage with some of the world's big issues like climate justice and poverty. And then there are the sweets, the opportunities to make friendships which encourage and comfort and bless.
Thank you, Methodist Women in Britain, for the grants that you have given to the Cumbria district for their links to projects in Argentina, Zimbabwe, Sierra Leone and Uganda, to name a few, and also for the social and community action grants that have been given to churches to aid their projects for community outreach. Happy birthday.
My name is Denise Creed. I'm a deacon and I have been involved in Methodist Women in Britain since it came into being 10 years ago, following on from the work of Network. I could, and I do, wax lyrical about all the good work that has been and is still being initiated by MWiB, all the causes that we have supported over the years, locally, nationally and globally, and the highlighting of the very serious issues that many who feel voiceless and lost face, along, of course, with the worship and the prayer that is offered. But I actually want to say that when we get together as Methodist women, we also have tremendous fun, and the laughter that we share, particularly at residential gatherings, is something really special. Yes, we enable. Yes, we encourage. Yes, we educate. Yes, we campaign. And yes, we enjoy ourselves too.
My name is Elizabeth Burroughs, and I'm the President of the World Day of Prayer National Committee for England, Wales and Northern Ireland. I shall always be grateful to Methodist Women in Britain for selecting me to become the representative of the Methodist Church on that committee back in 2011, and for the continuing encouragement and support I have received from all those involved throughout the past 10 years. This is what I value about MWiB, the way in which it encourages, equips and enables women to serve God and to play an important role in their churches and communities, but also on the wider stage. MWiB understands that everybody has a place at God's table, rejoices in the richness and diversity of the Methodist people, and offers a warm welcome to everybody. World Day of Prayer is immensely grateful for the support of MWiB throughout the whole of the United Kingdom. In fact, I don't think we would exist without the continuing support of the Methodist people. And this is because MWiB encourages women to think beyond themselves and their local church, and to remember that we are all part of a rich sisterhood that embraces the whole world.
I want to start by giving thanks for the Methodist women in Britain. As a Black African woman whose tradition involved having groups of women and girls who meet regularly to talk about issues that matter to women and issues that matter to girls, but also issues that matter to society in general. I thank God that within the Methodist Church in Britain is a group that is similar. There are some subtle differences, but it is similar in many ways. I thank God for the Methodist women in Britain because I value the tremendous amount of work that they do. And I am particularly very grateful for the way in which they keep encouraging women and young girls, and indeed the whole church, to engage in diverse and creative ways of expressing faith. And in fact, it was within the Methodist women in Britain that I mastered the art of silence, something that I was really afraid of and something I found really difficult to do, but as part of some worship exercises I engaged with the Methodist women in Britain at one of the Swanwick conferences, it's become part of my prayer life. I value the Methodist Church for being the voice, for representing the issues that affect women and girls at the Methodist Conference. But in particular, I value the work that the Methodist women in Britain do with women outside of our own connection. The work they particularly did with the women in Dalit, the Dalit women, has remained stuck on my mind, and they brought to my attention and campaigned and made a lot of efforts in bringing awareness to the issues of the Dalit women. They produced some helpful resources. I am very grateful for the other worship resources that they bring to the church. They put together every year the Easter service, and it takes a lot of love and care to bring about those services, which we share across the connection. And so I am grateful that they then bring to our attention some of the issues and some of the work that our mission partners are engaging with across the world. And I thank God for the Methodist women in Britain. I value tremendously the pilgrimage opportunities that they offer. I've not been on the pilgrimage myself. I hope that one day I'll be able to do so. But I'm very grateful for the support that I have been personally received from the Methodist women in Britain, especially as I was navigating through the system, sometimes quite complex systems within the Methodist Church. But it was made possible with the many friends that I have made within the Methodist women in Britain. And so today, really, I want to say to them, happy 10th year, or happy 10th anniversary. It's been an absolutely terrific experience, a spiritual experience that I continue to hold on to some of the things that I've learned as we met. And I thank God for all the friends that I have made within the Methodist women in Britain. So thank you for being the Methodist women in Britain.
I believe Methodist Women in Britain brings a great movement to God's table. I value that Methodist Women in Britain encourages, equips and enables me in my life and witness. God's table, an invitation to all, fits so well with Methodist Women in Britain, for it is welcoming. Justice, joy, compassion and love resides for all. Methodist Women in Britain supported me. As my faith has grown, I have gained confidence and made great friends through fellowship. This all comes to God's table.
What I value about Methodist Women in Britain is that it brings women together to support one another, to share together, to learn more about women all over the world, to experience new things, to worship, pray and grow together, to laugh and have fun together.
I've appreciated the creativity that Methodist Women in Britain has brought to God's table through worship, dance, prayer, music and art and craft work.
As president of the Birmingham District MWiB, I chose Hand in Hand for Aid and Development for my presidential project. I have been overwhelmed by the generosity, support and love from those in the district who have made blankets and other warm clothes to send to Syria. I had planned to take afternoon tea around the district, but the pandemic prevented that. But instead of meeting in person, we have enjoyed craft, cake and chat on Zoom instead, along with a monthly Zoom of giving testimony and sharing our stories.
Having been part of Methodist Women in Britain from the beginning of its launch in 2011, and as being the first forum rep for Lancashire District has been a great joy. Not only have I attended conferences here in the UK, but I've had the opportunity to travel and meet women of like mind from around the globe at world and European assemblies. We come to God's table, sharing concerns and having the same objectives to campaign for social justice, equality, education for all, to name a few, and grow together in the love of God.
I'm Jenny Pathmaraja. I'm a Methodist minister in the beautiful island of Jersey, and I've been part of Methodist Women in Britain since 2006. My time with MWiB has been completely and utterly transformative. There is no other way to describe it. I had the privilege and the opportunity to go to the World Federation in South Korea, and it was there that I had my first real introduction to feminism and feminism in the church. And meeting some incredible people opened my eyes and my mind to do some more reading and to really start understanding what it is to be a woman, what it is to be a Christian in this complicated world that we live in. And from that, I've made friends for life. I love the family, I love the community, and I've been so lucky to play the piano in many of their conferences over the years, and I adore doing that. It's a wonderful opportunity to gather with friends and make new friends and reconnect with old friends, hear some inspiring speakers, and to be fed at a weekend surrounded by like-minded women who are determined to change the world. Methodist Women in Britain has changed my life, and I know it has changed the lives of many, many other women across the nation and over the years.
Over 10 years, I've seen so many women grow spiritually and develop gifts of collaborative leadership through Methodist Women in Britain. And I'm thankful for all I've learned through my own involvement. Keep bringing those gifts to the table.
Hello. It gives me great pleasure to bring to you Methodist Women in Britain the greetings from Methodist Women in Ireland on reaching your 10th anniversary. It was such a joy for me, along with Louise and Vonda, to share in your fellowship weekend online a few weeks ago. May you continue to share God's love in the years to come, and may we have more opportunities to share with you too. Enjoy your celebrations. Thank you, Joan.
I value Methodist Women in Britain because it's helped me to grow in faith. It gives me the opportunity to express that faith confidently and enables me to reach out with informed love to make a difference within my community and across the world. I believe this is what our movement brings to the Methodist table.
What I value most about Methodist Women in Britain is its strong campaigning for social justice and the impact that this has across the whole Methodist Church.
God's table, an invitation to all, fits so well with Methodist Women in Britain because of the way they support and encourage and pray for all their Methodist sisters in Britain, Ireland, and around the world.
Hello, I'm Pam Meek, President of the Sheffield District. What I value most in Methodist Women in Britain is the friendship, the fellowship, and the worship that we share together. This year, our project is the Children's Air Ambulance. Next year, we hope to support a project in the Third World. After a difficult year, we move forward in faith with God's blessing to carry on the work in Methodist Women in Britain. God bless.
What I value about Methodist Women in Britain is the practical engagement with projects at home and abroad, and our global connections and friendships formed through the World Federation of Methodist and Uniting Church Women.
I work as a lay pastor in the Calderdale circuit, and I attended the Certificate in Women in Leadership course at Cliff College a couple of years ago. It was run by Joanna Williamson, and she brought a group of women from Chick-fil-A, a fast food restaurant in America. I found working with this group of women to be inspirational. They talked to us about their faith and about their charitable work that they do outside of the church. And as well as that, being away from home for a week, working with women from around the Methodist connection, I was able to spend some time thinking about my own vocation. As I said, I was working as a lay pastor, but I was considering ordained ministry. And I came to realise that lay ministry is just as important. And I'm
very grateful to Methodist Women in Britain for the support that they gave me, and I hope that I will be able to pass on that support to other women in the future.
In the London district, we have supported many charities over the last 10 years. For example, Street Pastors, a charity trying to reduce gun and knife crime. We have also supported the people of the Gambia through the Open Hands charity and the Mercy Ships. These are to name a few. In this way, we have been very, very happy and rewarded by bringing a large number of people to the Lord's table, both in this country and abroad.
Methodist Women in Britain has given me the opportunity to hear and learn from stories of women all over the world.
I love the commitment to justice and transformation that Methodist Women in Britain brings to God's table.
Hello, this is Cathy Arscott with greetings from the Cornwall and Scilly Isles district, where we have an enthusiastic number of Methodist Women in Britain members. This year we are raising funds for Curnow Young Carers, a project run in Cornwall by Action for Children. I very much value the friendship, fellowship and Christian teaching that is shared among us at all different times throughout the year at district days and our annual residential conference. These provide an opportunity to share ideas, to share joys and sorrows, to pray for one another, and to give and receive the encouragement we all need. Despite the COVID-19 restrictions, we have continued to meet on Zoom, a new experience for most of us, but we're all looking forward to being able to meet in person in the not too distant future. Bye for now.
I value Methodist Women in Britain for the constant reminder that it's not just Britain at God's table, and that there's a wide world out there that we can love and learn from, and everyone needs a place at the feast.
Methodist Women in Britain bring prayerful love and generosity to God's table, supporting women and girls across the world. Following my official visit to Bolivia, I was really thrilled at the generosity across the connection, which meant that Tabitha House could be completed. This safe haven and training centre for young women coming into the city was desperately needed. Thank you.
What a privilege it is to care for the women's collection at Epworth Old Rectory, the archive telling the story of women through the centuries, starting with Susanna Wesley at her kitchen table, through to Caroline Wiseman and women working overseas for Women's Work, Women's Fellowship Network, and Methodist Women in Britain at the present day. Such a rich diversity of women responding to God's invitation to all.
For 11 years, I had the privilege of living in the Wesley Manse at Epworth when my husband David was the minister. There, we held open house for family, friends and visitors from all over the world, often sharing fellowship around our table. During those years, I had my most memorable Methodist Women in Britain experience when I was part of the Heritage and Archives Task Group, which culminated in the 2016 exhibition Transforming the World from the Kitchen at Epworth Old Rectory. Not just any kitchen, but the kitchen once occupied by its most famous resident, Susanna Wesley. There, around her table, all were welcome to share fellowship in her meetings. So Susanna's table, our table, both inextricably linked with God's table, where all are welcome to share fellowship in the name of Jesus Christ. Now retired and living in Derbyshire, I still keep open house.
What can I bring to God's table? A sharing platter containing friendship, hospitality, faith stories, awareness, concern, prayers and resources for others, local and global, plus a generous serving of laughter and tears. some of the many blessings to have enriched my life as part of Methodist Women in Britain and enabled me to encourage others to come and taste and see for themselves.
What I value about Methodist Women in Britain is the great sense of belonging and fellowship, but also faith in action. Women globally using their gifts and skills in working for God's kingdom to show the love of God to others. Jesus accepted Mary, sitting at his feet like a student to a rabbi. We can do the same, empowered by his Holy Spirit to work in our world together today.
I value Methodist Women in Britain because of its understanding of the contextual nature of race, class and gender. It therefore serves as a passport into Methodism, and for us as facilitators, it enables us to meet the needs of those with multiple disadvantages.
Hi, my name's Tim. I'm part of the team at All We Can, and we at All We Can love our partnership with Methodist Women in Britain. We love the way that we can sit down at God's table together as two organisations and have a conversation, have sharing and learning and praying together about how we can each play our part in ending poverty and injustice around the world in Jesus' name. We've loved those conversations over the years. And we love the way that working together with Methodist Women in Britain, we at All We Can have been able to invite lots of different people to God's table. And the open invitation that MWiB offers means that we've had a bigger banquet than we could possibly have had without them, as so many people have been lifted out of poverty and we've worked together to help people fulfil their potential. That's what we're all about at All We Can, and we love eating together, sharing together, working together with MWiB in that mission.
I'm Karis Kolawole of Action for Children. I believe that the value that Methodist Women in Britain brings to God's table has many dimensions to it. But definitely inspirational leadership that encourages us to think beyond where we are, to think more broadly about the world, and to prayerfully take practical action to help solve some of those big challenges out in the world. I'd also say empowerment, definitely empowerment in terms of the sort of projects that they get involved in, empowering communities to be able to exist on their own with dignity. So I think there's a lot, to be proud of that Methodist Women has achieved over the year. And I wish them continued strength and great grace in the years to come.